Hey, welcome back. All right, so this is the last of the 3 tutorials for our final door, which requires a key to open. This one's going to be a little bit more focused on just the blueprint for the door, and everything else we've already done in the previous 2 tutorials. So let me go ahead and again demonstrate what it is I'm talking. All right, so here in the scene, we've got, again, the door. And if I go over and pick up a key, in this case, it's going to be the gold key. Press E to interact, the door should open up. That's what we're going to work on this time, getting that functionality for the door. So what we need to do is we need to figure out what door we're going to use. I've been using the double door for the last couple of tutorials, so I've kind of built on that in this one, in my demo here. So I'm going to go ahead and find my door interactables, and I'm going to find the interact double door right here. I'm going to select it. I'm going to do a Control D, and I am going to call this interact underscore key. It kind of makes a long name, but at least we know exactly what it is. So this door will specifically be set up for the use of a key. So it's the interact door. You're going to need to use one of the ones that has the interact already set up on it and make it so that we can set it up this way. All right, so if I double click and open it up, we've got our blueprint already set up so that we can interact, and we are going to use that, but we're going to make some changes there. But the very first thing we need to do is we're going to need to add in a few text boxes, because we're going to want to be able to pull those texts up, and we can actually do that here in a few minutes. We are going to need to do those. We're going to need to first set up our Booleans for this, because we need to do a check to make sure that we have a key assigned to the door and what that key is. And we're going to use our begin play to do that. But first, let's get the variable set up, and I'll explain why we need these as we're working. So the first one's going to be has gold key, or whatever key your name is, assigned. And then we're going to do a duplicate of that, and then has silver key assigned. And then one more, has copper key assigned. Okay, so we got all three of those. The eyes don't need to be open. They can be if we want. Now, the other thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to actually have a actor variable that can hold that key. So something that's actually going to be physically assigned to that key, like I showed you in the demo when we first started. There needs to be some place where we can assign the key to, so each door can have its own key assigned to it. So we're going to add another variable, and we're going to call this one assigned key. And then this variable is actually, if we hit the down arrow right here, we're going to type in actor. And we want the one that says object types actor, and we want it an object reference. And we're going to open the eye up on this one, because this is going to allow us inside the game viewport to assign the key to it using an eyedropper. We're going to compile and save it. Now, the very first thing we're going to do is we are at the very beginning of the game, when it first starts at begin play, we're going to grab out begin play. And we're going to do a check. We're going to grab the assigned key, and we're going to get assigned key, and we're going to make sure that this is valid. So we're going to pull off here, and if we don't do this and you have a door that's in the scene that doesn't have a key assigned to it, it'll throw up errors. So we don't want to have that. So we're going to do this, and we're going to select the little question mark one right here. So the first thing we're going to do is check to make sure that the assigned key is valid, and it actually has one assigned to it. The other thing is, for this assigned key, we can go out and we can get the display name for that assigned key. So I'm going to drag out from here, and we're going to get display name. And this will pull in all the names of the different keys that are assigned out there. In this case, it's going to be 3 keys, but it could be multiple doors. You could have 6 doors with different keys, each of the 3 different keys assigned to them. And you could add more keys as you go along. Now, when I named mine, I was very specific about the names. BP, gold key, copper key, and silver key, right? Exactly like this. All right, so I'm going to drag out from here, and we're going to have to actually convert this from a name to a string. So if we type in string, or actually let's try name. There we go, string to name. So this is a string, and we're going to change it to a name. And so we're going to have this pink node to a purple node. And then if we drag out from there, we can get this equal sign. Okay, so once we've got this equal sign, in here, I'm going to type in BP underscore gold key. And we need to make sure that it's exactly the same as this blueprint we have right here for our key. Okay? And I'm actually going to want to duplicate this 2 more times. So I'm going to hit Control D and Control D. Now what I can do is I can actually, without having to get this node, because we've already done the conversion for this node right here, and we could have pulled this node up separately, but we can go ahead and we can just plug in and it will automatically connect for us. And if we wanted to, we could even just get rid of this node and plug directly in, since we have this correct node here. And instead of gold key, we're going to type in silver key and copper key. Again, these have to be exactly the same because we're checking to make sure that the display name is this. Now, what we're going to want to do is from this first one, after we check to make sure it's valid, we're going to pull out this branch. From here, we're going to see, is the first one display name gold key? Okay. And if it is, then we're going to pull out has gold key assigned, and we're going to set it to true. If it's false, we're going to get another branch. This one's going to plug into here. And if it's true, we're going to assign the silver key. So if that's true, you'll have the silver key assigned to it. If it's false, one more branch. And if it's true, we'll assign the copper key. Okay, so what we've just done is at the very beginning, when we first start the game, it's going to get the names of the different doors, and it's going to assign the key to that door based off of, or it's going to set up the variable. That's what it's going to do, is it's going to set up this variable, set the variable to be true if it meets these different criteria. So that specific door will have the key assigned to it through this variable. The reason why we have to do it this way is because at the begin play, when it first goes out and gets all the names, then it forgets it. After the begin play happens, a few seconds into the game, begin play is over with and all of that information goes away. So we actually need a variable to hold that data for us. Okay, and that's what we're doing right here. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to actually make it so that we do the checks and make sure that all of this works. So I'm going to disconnect the event interaction right here. So hold the Alt button and click on the event interaction. I'm going to drag this out a little ways. And we're going to leave this branch here. We are going to end up pulling this way a little ways. What we're going to do, and this is going to involve several branches, because we're going to go through a logic system to check, is this true? No, or if it's true or false, right? The first thing we're going to do is from this very first interaction, we're going to do a branch. For this branch, I'm going to pull out has gold key assigned. If it has a gold key assigned, then it's going to go to this next branch. If it's true, we're going to do another check. That other check is going to be right down here. We're going to get the player. Because remember, we set it up so that the player, when a player picks up a key, the player actually has a key assigned to it for that position. So we want to get the player from our BPFL, and from here we're going to pull out 3 times. We're going to say has get has gold key, get has silver key. I'm going to do these in order just to keep track of everything. And then has copper key. So we got all 3 of these right here. Now, to do this check right here, we're going to pull out from here, and we're going to do an AND. So with this AND Boolean, it's going to check if this is true, if the door has a gold key assigned to it, then it's going to look with the gold key, and does the player have the gold key? If both of those are true, then it's going to allow that to be true, and then that's going to open that door up. If this is false, if this first one is false, so I'm going to pull that back a little bit. If this first one is false, then we do another branch. And we're going to check, okay, well, if it doesn't have a gold key, does it have the silver key assigned to it? And if that's true, if it does have this silver key, whoops, this is the wrong one. Has silver key. If that's true, then AND, so the AND Boolean, does the player also have the silver key? And if that's true, then it'll execute that. If it's false, you've guessed it, we're going to do another branch. Does this door have the copper key assigned to it? If it's true, so another branch. And Boolean. So if it has the copper key and the player has the copper key, then it's going to execute this. All right, so let's go ahead and test all this out before we get into the next piece of this. So let's go back to our sandbox. Here in the scene, let's find our double interactive door with the slider. And with this pulled into the world, you can see that over here we have the assigned key. So let's hold the Alt key and pull out 2 more of these doors. So this first one, with it selected, I'm going to click on the little eyedropper, and I'm going to assign the silver key to it. The second one, and I'm just doing it in the order of the keys here on the ground, it doesn't matter. So that one now has a copper key, and then this one, I'm going to assign the gold key to it. All right, I'm going to save it. Now, if I hit play, if I go first test the door out, can I open it? No. Okay, it doesn't let me open any of those, so that's working. So if I pick up the silver key, it opens for me. Does it open this one? No. No. Okay, so far so good. We get the copper key. Okay, did I mess up? That's not working. Let's try the gold key. That one's working, so what did I miss? That one should be the red copper key. Okay, so let's take a look at the blueprint real quick. All these true and falses, I just got myself a little mixed up. Right here, I put it in the wrong spot. So if I put it over here, because remember, we're doing a check first to see if the door is correctly assigned. And if it isn't, then it goes down to the next door. we broke the chain right here. We had it in the wrong spot. So it should be that first branch down to here. So if I compile it, and then if I hit play, let's just double check. So copper key, and now it works. Okay, so now we've got it working so that all the doors should work correctly. The next thing that we need to do is purely optional. But if you want it to make it so that the player can enjoy the game a little bit more, maybe not having to guess about what the key is might be okay. But if you want them to have to guess which key they need, then obviously you don't have to do this piece. I'm going to take this set interact text and slide it over to the side here out of the way, because we're going to need some space right in here to be able to set up what happens next. So the very first thing we're going to do is get a couple different locations, okay? Because we're going to need to know where we want the text to appear. So we're going to start with that, working from left to right on the blueprint. We could start working with the text first, but that might be a little confusing. So we're going to use the door frame. So we're going to grab the door frame, and I'm going to want to get world location. So we're going to get the world location of the door frame, and I'm going to split this. If my mouse would work, there we go. Split struct right there, okay? And then for the Z value, remember, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a plus. So if I hold the shift and hit the plus button, we're going to get add. And we're going to add in 75 units so that it lifts it up off the ground, kind of at eye level, so that it can be seen a little bit easier. The other thing we're going to need to do is figure out where the player is. So we're going to get player pawn. And from here, we're going to get two things. We're going to get actor location. Location. We're going to split the struct. Come on. And then we're also going to get actor or get control. Remember, we want to know which direction we're looking. So we're going to get control rotation. So we're going to see which direction the player is looking. We're going to split that struct. And also for the Z, because this is the rotational value that we're interested in rotating, we're going to take out from here, and we're going to also add. So I'm going to hold the shift button, get the plus sign again. We're going to need to rotate it 180 degrees, because remember from last time, it's going to, the text will be oriented in the direction that the player is looking, so it'll be backwards to us. It'll be correct from the opposite direction. One of the things we're going to do is we're also going to need some text. So up here at the top, we're going to go ahead and we're going to just duplicate this 3 times. Okay, and then the first interact text, we're going to change this to gold key text. And we're going to just leave it the same way that it is. So the visibility is going to be off already, and that's going to work out fine. For this one, this is going to be silver key text, and then, of course, copper key text. Something like that. Okay, so now I got 3 of these, and we're going to need to drag all 3 of those out into the open. So for the gold key, I'm just going to drag it out here and just drop it. The silver one somewhere around here, and the copper one somewhere around here. Now, we're going to, for the first one, we're going to need to get set visibility, because we can do that from here. So we're going to set visibility, and we're going to set the new visibility on. And I'm going to duplicate that 2 more times. And we're going to just go ahead and plug these in for the target for each of these. And the visibility for all 3 of these should be on. So what are we going to plug in to actually drive these? What we need to do is up here at the top. Once we do the check, and if the player does not have that particular key, if it's false, then we're going to pop this text up to tell it what key they need, to tell the player what key they need. So we're going to do this for each of the gold, silver, and then copper. It should be from that second Boolean right there. Okay, so now we've got that started. We're actually going to need to tell it where we want it to be. So we're going to pull, actually I'm just going to go over here, select that, and hit Control D and duplicate that because that's exactly what we need. Plug that in, and I'm going to do it 2 more times. Control D and Control D and plug these in. Kind of line everything up a little bit, give me some room to work. All right, and then once this happens, we're going to do a little bit of a delay because we're just automatically going to get rid of, not when we leave a box, we're not driving it with any of this interactive text stuff like we're doing over here. We're driving it from whether or not this is true or false. So we're going to do a delay. And we're going to make it about 5 seconds, however long you feel you need for your game. I'm going to put it in 5 seconds. Do it for each of these. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to grab these here, duplicate it over to here. We're going to uncheck it to make it invisible. So after 5 seconds, the text will disappear. Just automatically. Okay. So now we've got, make sure that all 3 of those are unchecked. All 3 of these should be checked. We've got all of the complicated stuff kind of done. We need to make sure that we tell it that this is the target. For what we're going to rotate. So it needs a target in there. It's going to be the visibility of this text. So now we need to plug in all of these. We're going to want to use the player's position for X, right? For this top one on each of these. So for the new transform for X, it's going to be here, here, and then here. So at the top for each one of those. Now for the Y and the Z, it's going to be coming off of our world location for our door frame. So we're going to set it in reference to that. So the Z is going to be this one here. And then the Y is going to be this one right there. So everything kind of starts getting spaghetti here. So we're doing it one at a time for each of these so we don't get mixed up. I'm going to double click off of that one there because I did get mixed up somewhere, it looks like. Yeah, I did. So this one should be the Y right there. There we go. So it should be 3 Z's, 3 Y's. Now, the rotation is the only thing we're going to change on this one, and that's this here. We're going to change the visibility rotation so it rotates on the Z axis to where our player is. And we can come back and clean all this spaghetti up in a minute. Let's go ahead and test it and see if all of this works. And actually, for the gold text, I'm going to change it so that it's kind of a goldish, kind of yellow color. For the silver text, I'm going to change it to kind of a gray, silvery color. And for the copper, kind of a copper color, whatever that might be. All right. And then we may want to change the font size as well, but let's see how that looks. So if I hit play, I come back to the door. If I hit the E button, it should, it should give me text, which it did. That much works, but we need to change what it actually says. Needs gold key. I knew there was something I was forgetting. So I'm just going to copy that. And then for the silver key, change the gold to silver. And then for the copper key, well, that's good. Okay, so let's try it again. File, save. Let's go back in and try that again. If I go up to the door, it shouldn't open, and it should tell me I need the gold key for that one. I need the copper key for that one. And I need the silver key for that one, which is not a great silver color, but anyway. So if I go get the silver key, no pop-up, but I get a pop-up for each of these. Okay, so that's it for this tutorial. Again, you can take this blueprint and you can apply it to any of the doors that we created. So any of the rotating doors, any of the sliding doors, whether they're singles or doubles, whatever it is you might want to do. All you got to do is just kind of update the blueprint as you go along. Now that does remind me, there's one thing that I should probably revisit a little bit more often, and I don't, is making sure that you comment out each of your blueprint sections so that you know what that blueprint is for, and whoever follows along after you knows what it's for. So, you know, this would be and then, of course, this one is inside of another blueprint. So we could just right here comment that like that. And we could say something like, and then this one, I might actually give it a color. You can give any of these colors if you wish, so that they work. But yeah, so that's it for this. If you have any questions, please drop it down in the comment section. I will get back to you. Don't forget to like this tutorial if you liked it. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for playing. I'll see you next time.